All the spring ephemerals are coming on now. They bloom when the canopy is open and set their seed before it leaves over. And that's the favorite time of the year because the lighting is so different. Now once it closes in, it changes. And other wildflowers come in then, but they're not quite as stirring as these first delicate flowers. I never dreamed that my garden would reach such important status and would be a showcase for so many of the wildflowers that I have been able to grow here. It has been important that I can supply botanical gardens and fellow gardeners across the Piedmont and the mountains, and I can give them my extra plants and give them a start, and they don't have to go and collect in the wild. It takes a lot of work to maintain this garden, the weeding and replacing and straightening the paths and putting out flowers and moving flowers that don't belong. And so it has been a godsend for me. Many garden clubs come by. The herb gardens are here, and Renolda has used it for workshops, and taxonomy classes have come out and been able to get plants for certain families that they wouldn't normally be able to find, or it would maybe deplete colonies that should not be disturbed year after year. And artists are here, the photographers are here, and then they don't have to run all over the country trying to find these different species. And I've even had friends who have lost loved ones, and it's been a retreat for them of healing. I can rest assured that my garden will be saved in perpetuity.
This garden was created by Emily Allen over a number of years. It's family land. She grew up here. She's got wonderful stories of growing up on this property. The garden itself was inspired by finding a showy orchid amidst all the briars and vines one day. The soil is unique to the area, and that finding of that orchid that happened to live in this particular soil sent her on a 50-year journey finding plants and pleasing people. The garden is often called Emily Allen's friendship garden for that reason, because she has used it to make friends and to meet people all across the country.
I've been coming to Emily's since the spring of 1980, and it's really a neat collection because Emily, unlike a lot of gardeners that just have a particular little flower bed with natives, Emily has a wild assortment of things that are pretty much in a natural condition. They sprawl around, the colonies grow, individuals spread around, and you can get an idea about how things react in the wild and how the dynamics of the community changes from time to time. And I like it as a biologist. She has lots of individuals of some particular species. She doesn't have one or two Trillium cuneatum. She's got hundreds of them, and you can see short, squat ones and tall, thin ones, and all the things that you don't normally get to see when you go to somebody's garden and they have one or two specimens. This was the area where the Moravians originally settled, and they would have settled here partially because of the same reasons why Emily's garden is so nice, because of the rich soils and because of the abundance of water and the nice forests. A couple times I've had the pleasure of driving Miss Emily around on a wildflower trip, And back in the days when she had the big Cadillac, and she would say, well, we're going to leave the native plant meeting up in the mountains, and I would be driving along, and we're driving up some little dirt road and winding stairs road. All of a sudden she says, stop, wait! I thought I ran over something, and Emily's jumping for her trowel in a plastic bag, and before the car has completely stopped, she's out the door, she's down the embankment, something caught her eye, and she's loading up the trunk with all sorts of stuff that we're getting, and pretty soon she starts eyeing my luggage, like we might have to leave something behind, and it's not going to be the native plants.
This is a remarkable fern. This is Rhopter celsa, the log fern, and that's the one that I got from Bethabara, which it does not have much of a distribution across our state. It's actually pretty rare, and you could see why it's called log fern. It planted itself all along this whole log. I didn't have a thing to do with it, and here it is in all of its glory, up and down this log, and nearly as tall as I am. Well, I know I've got at least 14 species of our native fern that are in a radius of just a half a mile around in here. It's a particularly rich area for all kinds of our fern. One of the native ferns that is just here on the land is this New York fern. And why do they call it New York? Well, of course, you see it is a very fine textured, and it tapers here and it tapers there. Well, when you're in New York, there are a lot of tall buildings, and when you look up, it tapers. And if you go to the very top and look down, it tapers. And so that's one reason they call it New York. And when you're in New York, you burn the candle at both ends.
This is one of my favorite spots that the Piedmont Land Conservancy ever protected. The Piedmont Land Conservancy protects nature's special places. We have that legal responsibility to protect the land for today and tomorrow. It took us 2 whole visits to fall in love with Emily. And she and the garden go together. They're both treasures. It's the serenity and the beauty of this preserve that makes it so unique. 500 different species in one 6-acre tract. And Emily opened her garden and her heart to people from the state of North Carolina, and even international visitors come to the garden to enjoy this same kind of serenity and beauty.
This, you can see why they call it golden seal. Breaking it open, you see that the under core of the stem is yellow. It's used for a lot of different kinds of ailments, but I think the one they use it for the most is if a person is coming down with a cold of some kind, and they'll make a concoction of this, and it seems to stem the progress of any cold developing. And this does very well here in my garden. In fact, it does over well, and I have to dig it out from time to time. Of course, there usually are some outstretched hands to take what excess I have. I feel I am blessed with a very special habitat for the wildflowers. I didn't realize why I had so many wonderful plants already here. It's a great pleasure to walk out in my garden and see what nature has done with it, with some help from us. But there is a feeling that here is something greater than I am, and it's a legacy that I can pass on to others.